who are about to engage in issues of climate change and the ocean's economy at the G7 Outreach Summit in Quebec in Canada. This as US President Donald Trump departed the meeting of the world's most industrialized nations after spending less than 24 hours in Canada. The US President is en route to Singapore for an historic summit with North Korea's leader Kim Jong UN, and he spoke to reporters just before he departed.
Probably rarely been done. It's unknown territory in the truest sense. But I really feel confident. I feel that Kim Jong UN wants to do something great for his people, and he has that opportunity. And he won't have that opportunity again. It's never going to be there again. So I really believe that he's going to do something very positive for his people, for himself, his family. He's got an opportunity the likes of which I think almost, if you look into history, very few people have ever had.
Well, for the latest from the summit, let's talk to our correspondent on the ground there. Sherwin Bryce-Peace joins us now live. Sherwin, good evening to you. Just listening in to Donald Trump there, take us through what else he spoke about before his departure.
I'll do that in just a second, Natasha. Just to update you, the leaders of the developing world, among them President Ramaphosa, have just been welcomed by their host, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada. They're, of course, about 2 hours away from where we are here at the Media Centre in a place called Charlevoix, a castle-like retreat, and Justin Trudeau welcoming them out in the open space as they begin their deliberations on essentially climate change and the ocean's economy. But more to your question, of course, President Donald Trump, the first leader to depart here on his way to that all-important summit in Singapore with Kim Jong UN, the leader of the DPRK, talking about his expectations. The president saying that he will get a sense, certainly within the first minute of his interactions with the leader of the DPRK, as to whether this is going to be a summit that will bear some fruit. He talks about Kim surprising on the upside, and as I mentioned earlier, really saying that he's going to have a touch and feel moment with the leader of the DPRK, certainly within the first minute, an assessment as to whether this will be a positive meeting or not.
Certainly, if we stay with Trump, trade disputes between the US and its allies certainly have sort of cast a bit of a shadow over these meetings, and President Ramaphosa has certainly weighed in on the matter with investment leaders just yesterday. In his meeting with investors, he also brought up the question of land expropriation. What did he have to say?
Well, the president really unprompted, breaking away from his notes, really to tackle this question. It is, of course, a concern in a room full of international investors. People, talk about race wars between whites and blacks in South Africa. So the president really coming here ready and armed to tackle this. He talked about Section 25 in the Constitution that has been there since the promulgation of South Africa's Constitution, and really how the government plans to go about implementing this. Let's listen to a clip we have of President Ramaphosa addressing this very question, Natasha.
We're meeting also in the midst of a global economy that is showing signs of recovery and improved growth, which is wonderful. However, it also remains vulnerable with the global trade war, which is looming, and a return to protectionism, but also the weakening of multilateral rules-based international trade systems and other multilateral organizations. This, for us, is worrying. South Africa sees Canada as a strategic partner as we navigate through all these difficult and worrying issues that have to be addressed by the world. And hopefully, the G7 meeting will be able to find solutions for some of these very difficult issues.
All right, we do apologize. That was the wrong clip. We were supposed to play the clip where President Ramaphosa is actually talking about securing property rights of South Africans, in respecting the property rights of South Africans when he was discussing that land issue, Sherwin. But today's discussion is focused on oceans. That's certainly significant for South Africa. What are our expectations for this?
Well, South Africa launched a very aggressive program called Operation Pakisa in 2014, where they hope to create 1 million new jobs by 2030, add some almost $14 billion to the economy. And really, this is what the discussions today with the outreach segment. He's joined by the leaders of the Seychelles, Kenya, Rwanda, in his capacity, President Kagame as the African Union chair, the leader of Senegal, and really to present to these world leaders, even in the absence of President Donald Trump, really the African position on what they want to do with their oceans. South Africa, of course, has close to 4,000 kilometers, really looking at issues of oil exploration, looking at manufacturing, looking at transportation on the oceans, how to develop one's coastline. So a very, very important discussion as it fits into South Africa's national development plan. Of course, Operation Pakisa, a fundamental pillar of that plan. So really wanting to get best practice and a great deal of goodwill here at the summit, a strong relationship between Canada's Prime Minister and South Africa's new President. So we certainly look forward to some of the outcomes that will emanate from those private and closed-door discussions today.
Sherwin, thank you very much for that. Our Sherwin Bryce piece live for us from Quebec in Canada as that G7 summit winds down today.